Welcome into another edition, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast, episode 119. Happy Halloween, everybody. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Apple, Google, Spotify, and of course on YouTube, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast page, or of course wherever you get your podcasts. Let me bring in professional evaluator, successful business owner, former coach, friend, and co-host, Jake Epstein. Jaker, the raker, the hitter maker.
Nice. Damn, that's impressive.
Thank you.
Happy Halloween, everyone. For those of you that are just listening and
No,
not
don't
watching
spoil it.
on the YouTube, you should
Yeah,
watch.
we'll talk about it later. Maybe we'll discuss later. I have this little story behind it about this costume. I got it when I was 25, 25, 26. I don't remember now, but I got it when I lived in DC. Tell that story maybe if we have time a little bit later on. Hey, thanks for joining us today, everybody. Episode 119. Next week, we're breaking down the swing of Mike Piazza, Mechanical Breakdown Series, Gold Edition. Mike Piazza, really excited to do that one. Of course, the World Series going on as we release this episode today. The Phillies and the Astros. I have to tell you, I was wrong about one thing and also right about another thing. I'll go with the wrong one first. So I was wrong about my Mets-Yankees prediction back in August. So for the first time since 2016, I'm going to be wrong about who's going to win the World Series. I was right, though, about who could make the World Series from that sixth wild card spot in the National League. Bing,
pretty
bang,
impressive.
boom.
Yeah, pretty impressive what they've done.
I agree. I agree
It is. It's about getting hot. You know, it really is. It's about getting hot. And if you're rolling into the playoffs not hot, then you're just going to get steamrolled. And that's kind of what happened to a team like the Dodgers, right? Kind of happened to the Mets. You got to be smoking hot and everybody playing well together and have a lot of connectivity in that clubhouse and guys pulling for one another and picking each other up, and that's what you're seeing with these two teams for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that. I'm sorry, I have to say it. Phillies beat the Cardinals. The Braves beat themselves. So the Braves beat the Braves. Mm-hmm. We talked about that, I think, last week. 5 plays separated that series. Mm-hmm. And the Phillies beat the Padres, but it was a lot closer than the actual series, 3-1. Now, the Astros, I look on the other side. They beat the Mariners, a hot team, probably one of the hottest teams, I think, going into the postseason.
Yes.
Right? The Mariners. They had a lot of momentum. I think they won game 1. They're all excited, right? Oh, we're going to... And then, of course, the Astros really beat the Yankees bad. I mean, they beat them without... everybody hitting. I mean, and they didn't just beat the Yankees. They absolutely swept the Yankees. There's a story out, by the way, about the Yankees. Michael Kay, their great television broadcaster, brought this up on his radio show. I don't know if you heard this. When they started Matt Carpenter, and this is what he's reporting, the reason that they started Matt Carpenter is because the analytics team saw something in his swing in batting practice and said put him in the starting lineup, and he hadn't faced live pitching consistently in like 2 or 3 weeks. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Okay, let's hear him. Rip him off, brother.
First of all, why would you? It was his. I think it was his swing plane. It was like his blast metrics, or was it his exit? No, maybe it was
something had to do with it. Something had to do with his exit velocity on a certain swing plane on a certain pitch.
It was like his launch angle and his exit velocity or something were the same as what he was when he was hitting the ball well. Well, the problem is it's BP. And the guy out there at 35, 40 feet away is throwing 50 miles an hour. And he's throwing it on a trajectory of like 18, 19 degrees dropping, which isn't even close to what a game swing plane is. So when they said that, that's the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. That whole team swung up way too much the entire series. Every single one of them. Judge swinging over the top of everything, topping. Even balls he hit hard, he topped. Yeah. Donaldson wasn't. Donaldson was just missing. His swing plane actually seemed okay. He was just either under or over.
Do you see his timing off at all or no?
Yeah, he was late. He was late on a lot of stuff. And you could tell he was late because his leg kick got a lot smaller. He was trying to kind of figure it out. And but yeah, like Torres, like all those guys, they're just swinging up and over pitches left and right. And when you do that, you're only on plane for maybe like 4 or 5 inches. So if your timing's not perfect, you're going to get totally destroyed. And that's why guys get really, really hot. We talked about it in multiple episodes. guys that get really hot and then really cold are guys that are elite athletes with elite vision that have elite timing, once in a while, like 4 or 5 times a season, and they get super hot. But you can't always hit the ball in that 4 to 5 inch window. You got to stretch that contact window to, you know, 20 to 30 inches. And then you can be a little late or you can be a little early and you can still find barrel. You can still hit line drives all over the park. And unfortunately the Yankees didn't do that. And Carpenter's by far the I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything against Carp, and I think he's a really solid player. Years ago when he really changed his swing to try to lift and hit a lot more home runs in St. Louis, and his career kind of took a hit because of it. And when he showed up in Yankee Stadium this year, I didn't see anything different. I really didn't. And then all of a sudden he got hot, and I kept looking like, did he change his swing? Not really. He was just really, really hot and feeling really good, and he had a ton of confidence. And he wasn't in AAA. He's in Yankee Stadium, and his timing was good. Right? I'm sure we're going to touch on a couple of those things that I just said. But it was like the perfect storm. Right? His timing was good, and he felt good about himself, and so he was hitting balls out of the park. Well, all of a sudden, when your timing's not perfect anymore, and you get hurt or something like that, then if you're off by an inch or two, you're going to struggle, and that's exactly what happened. So,
What really hurt the Yankees in that series was not having DJ LeMahieu as well, and that foot
yeah,
problem, and not having him in the lineup.
and Benintendi, I
Yeah,
mean, those are
you had to
guys
get
that
him for that reason.
for that reason, those are guys you can get in the lineup that are going to find barrels and make a little bit more contact than everyone else, in hopes that those other guys, hit a ball out of the park and it's not a solo shot. So, yeah, I mean, not having those two guys totally killed their offense. But what really killed their offense was not making adjustments. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just you can't do the same thing over and over and over again and expect different outcomes. Like, and they did. The only thing I saw different in the last game, which was great, was they started to be aggressive on the fastball early in the count. Because if you go back and you look at the previous games, they were 0-1, 0-2 all day long, and they were taking first pitch fastballs like left and right.
Yeah. Well, okay. Ep just muted his microphone. That's why he just stopped right there. He didn't just awkwardly stop. I wasn't prepared for you to just stop. I thought you had more to go. You got
No,
I got to teach you how to do some
a
voice exercises prior to
yeah,
the
I had
to
a
the
cough
episode.
on deck. That was pretty good. That's the longest I've talked in a week where I haven't had a coughing attack.
You're on fire tonight.
I know.
All right, so that leads me to my next question. I'm going to ask you first.
I'm sorry. I'm just watching the Astros game in the top corner
Hold
of
on.
this. Not that
Stop.
you're not
Hold on. It's
entertaining.
Halloween. I don't know
The
what you're
guys
talking
just
about.
hit. They just hit.
Yeah.
Just
So,
remember the
okay,
second inning.
hold on. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, and you lead
I'm
the
just
show.
saying
No, you lead the show today.
we were just talking about the Yankees and
Yes.
their approach.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you probably won't remember the approach of the Astros in inning number 2 of the first game.
Why not?
But it's 180 degrees from what the Yankees were doing.
Not watching right now.
Okay.
I'm proud of you. I'll tell you why. I am. You're leading the show, and you are not only you've taken the bull by the horns, right? And you are such a great communicator now. When we first started doing this, we had no idea what we were doing. And now, I mean, you got the microphone, you got the mic stand, you're doing two things at once. You're talking, hitting, and doing it, and you're communicating it very, very well, deciphering out all the information, and you're watching the World Series at the same time. I'm doing two things. I'm a couple of texts, but I'm also doing this. So I'm
I have
impressed
a
with you.
good teacher. I have a good teacher, Jim.
I know.
You're the best. Best in the
I hear you.
business.
Now let me ask you something. I need to get that. We need to get this out in the open. Who do you think is going to win the World Series? I'll give my pick here in just a moment. Now, again, this comes out on a Monday, so everybody listening, it would be only game 3 going in Tuesday, right? So the first 2 games already happened. Who do you think is going to win the World Series? We do it every year.
Oh man.
This is an easy one.
Who do I want to win the World Series?
No. I didn't ask that. Everybody wants one team, which I don't understand. But who do you think, off your expert analysis, is going to win the World Series?
Oh, off my analysis?
Your expert analysis.
I think that the Astros are going to win the World Series.
Okay, and how many games?
I'll say 6 games.
Okay. I must be off or something. I must be really off about something. This season's weird. I have I have the Astros in 5, if that. I don't get it. I don't get what people see, and I don't want to hear. Somebody the other day overheard this. Somebody said, oh, it was Kirk
I was
Herbstreit
gonna say
actually.
5, but I feel like the Phillies are so scrappy
Oh,
that they're gonna win a few games.
I heard this the other day on I was watching the Bucks game, and I heard Herbstreit say this. He said to Al Michaels, "Oh, the Phillies, they got the vibe right now. That's good. They have the vibe. That's great. You know what the Astros have? A deep pitching staff. I'll
They're
take
deep
that
in the
over a
season.
vibe."
Yeah, they're so deep.
I got the Astros in 5. I'll tell you this. I'll decipher out this information. Here's why I think that. When I'm looking at the Astros, I forget the pitching for a second. We talk all hitting all the time on this podcast,
Hmm.
but when I look at the Astros, okay, in that series against the Yankees, they swept the Yankees in 4 games. Yordan Alvarez couldn't hit the side of a barn. Now you compare DHs. I don't like comparing positions at this point in the season. From an evaluation standpoint, I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it makes any sense. You've gotten to this point. At this point, you've mentioned it. Who's hot? Who gets into the postseason? It's kind of a crapshoot. I don't think it matters. But I'm comparing him these positions because it's vital as to why I think the Astros are going to win the World Series. Yordan Alvarez didn't hit at all. They still beat the Yankees in the ALCS, right? Okay. Bryce Harper, without him in the NLCS, the Phillies do not make the World Series, or that series goes 7 games and then you just don't know, right?
Hmm.
Okay. That's why I think the Astros are going to win the World Series. Without Bryce Harper, the Phillies don't make the World Series. Without Alvarez, the Astros still made the World Series. Not only did they make the World Series, they beat the Yankees in 4
Handedly.
games, and
Yeah.
they made it look easy. So Astros in 5. I'm sorry. I have high respect for Dave Dombrowski. John Middleton's a classy owner, great organization, and they've got a fun team. But I have to think logically at this point. And I could be wrong. And if I am wrong next week, I promise you I will eat crow. Figuratively.
Sounds good.
All right.
I would like to see the Phillies win, though.
Why?
Why?
You got to give
'Cause
me
I'm sick of
reasons.
the Astros.
I
They
always
fired
hear
their
that from everybody.
manager. They fired their manager, what, like 40 games into the year?
No, hold on now. The Astros didn't fire anybody.
No, the Phillies. That's why I want to see the
Phillies.
Phillies win. Didn't I say that?
No, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. I'd
That's
like
fair.
to see the Phillies win. I just think what they went through this year, they're losing a manager. This guy steps up, rights the ship. These guys start gelling, playing together. I love Schwarber, his personality, his intensity at the plate, his mindset. Harper's fun just because he's Harper. But I think they're just, I don't know. It's just a scrappy team with a lot of heart. So for
Yeah.
that, I would like to see them win. But I think the Astros are just filthy deep with arms.
Yeah. Well, cheers to that. Good luck,
Yeah,
Phillies. I will say that. Good luck,
yeah.
but I don't think so.
It's
Not
Jimstown. It's
not
Jimstown.
my
That's what I'm rooting
prediction.
for.
You're the one who's a Phillies fan. You said it last week.
I'm going to do a clinic out there in
Oh,
Philly.
you are in
Too
Philly?
bad you're not going to live. You don't live there anymore.
When are you going?
Yeah, in
Do you want to do
December. You want to meet me there? We can do the podcast from
Do
there.
you want to do a plug for it now?
Westchester.
Oh, it's Westchester. It's not Westchester. You got your syllables wrong.
Westchester.
West.
Westchester.
You sound like you're from New York.
That's
No.
New York. Okay.
Yeah. No, I can do a
Malvern.
great New York actually. Malvern. I don't.
It's
So
kind of
you're
the
going
same area.
So you're going to Westchester in December. Do you want to plug it right now?
No, it's good. It's an event for an organization there, a great organization, the Dragons, Westchester Dragons, or the Pennsylvania Dragons. Sorry, PA Dragons, and I've known them. I've been out there before, and I've known they have 2 certified guys, and they have a really good pitching guy, as a Tom House guy. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to going out there and having a cheesesteak too.
Are you going to do any like event, or is it?
It's just for their organization. So we're going to train all the coaches. The coaches are going to go through there's about probably 15 to 20 coaches. They're all going to go through a training for, it's probably like 10 hours total over a few days. And then we're going to work with, probably like 30 to 50 of the players,
Do they
video,
listen
hit
to the
tracks,
podcast?
all the good stuff. What's that?
Do they listen to the podcast?
Of course they listen to the podcast.
I think they're lying. I think we do have listeners though in the
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just
Westchester
guessing.
area.
I just assume everybody on the planet does. I could be wrong.
We could do a show there live in Westchester, Pennsylvania. That'll
Westchester,
be
not Westchester.
No, that'll be Eagles season at that point. That'll be after
Oh,
after.
yeah, the Eagles are hot, baby.
I know. You see, you're a Philly fan. What's going on here?
I know. I might look for real estate when I'm back there.
Why don't you just try to work for the Phillies?
I know.
Hey, congratulations to Matt Arnold, by the way, in your
Yeah.
organization. Now, I want to make it official, right? Vice president. Want to get it
Yeah,
right.
I don't know if they
Right?
bumped him. I assume he's the leader of the, everything
Yeah.
there. Matt's awesome too. He's a
Yeah.
Tampa Bay guy. He
Yes.
came from the Rays. UC Santa Barbara. Went to UC Santa Barbara.
And you
But yeah,
report
he's
directly to him, correct?
what's that?
You report directly to him.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know now. Now he's the big cheese. So
Big
yeah, I don't
cheese.
know. I don't know if they gave him the vice president title or not.
Yeah.
But I know they bumped him to the GM and knew that someday he would have to be running everything. So we'll
Well,
see.
congrats to Matt Arnold now running the Brewers.
Yeah,
He was in the running for the Mets general manager job a
he
couple
was.
of years ago.
Maybe in last year.
Maybe last year. You're exactly
Maybe
right.
last year because they
Yeah.
made him GM so that they would have had to make him like a vice president in New York. So the
Mhm.
Brewers made him a general manager because you can't talk to someone at the same level, essentially, that's under contract.
Right. Well, happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Email us, by the way, jimbopodcast21@gmail.com. We did get an email from Doug, but I have bad news. I forgot to copy it onto my run sheet this week. Sorry, Doug. We'll get to your email, your question. I promise, Doug. It was a good one, too. We'll get to it next week, Doug. So email us, people, jimbopodcast21@gmail.com. And subscribe to the show and follow us on socials at Jim.
Doug may have just
at
clicked the
Steven.
unsubscribe button.
I don't think he did.
After hearing that.
Happy Halloween, though, everybody. Yes, I am an oil driller. I got this. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. It's like a button-up oil slick type shirt. Mechanic, right? You called it a mechanic type shirt, right?
Yeah, I
And
thought you it's kind of like a Goodyear shirt or a possible awesome bowling
look how
shirt.
good you are at description. I am like, you want to talk about like me being a coach. Whew, brother. So I'm wearing that shirt. So I got it when I was like 25, 26, when I was living in Washington, D.C. I got it like in a store in Maryland. And then I went out to D.C. for Halloween that night with some friends and we bar hopped, but went to all these really nice bars. So I'm wearing this old slicked, dirty hat with this shirt on, and people are like kind of looking at me like, what's this guy doing? 'Cause everybody's looking like with polo shirts. They look really nice, look really classy, the button-up shirts and everything. So anyway, we go to that night. I'll never forget it. It was in Georgetown. We go to Krispy Kreme in Washington, D.C. We have deep listeners in D.C., so if they are listening to this, they know what I'm talking about. Went to that Krispy Kreme. I start to order, and the guy behind the counter, I'll never forget his name. His name was Kareem. He starts cracking up laughing, and I go, "Are you laughing because of the shirt?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "That's when I screamed out in Krispy Kreme, I am an oil driller." And I screamed out the little phrase, saying the phrase on my left side here, my left breastplate. Yeah.
You have to read it. We're not going to say it.
Jim's oil drilling. No, wait. Jim's oil drilling. The deeper it goes, the wetter it gets. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I have my 4 pillars of hitting here, episode 119. You ready? All right, number 1. I previewed this last week because I took a run/walk in Tampa, and I was thinking about the playoffs and hitting and pitching and all that kind of stuff as I'm crossing the street and walking along the river. And I thought, man, there's 4 pillars of hitting here that we have to do on this show. We have to talk about them. More important than mechanics, more important than mostly everything you see and hear about on social media about hitting. Okay. First one, timing/vision. You kind of already alluded to that earlier on. Swing plane/bat path. That's number 2. Number 3, making adjustments against a pitcher trying to get you out. And number 4, and this might be the biggest one, but the most complicated and hard one to grasp, confidence. Okay, let's start with number 1, timing and vision. We had Jerry Weinstein on the show a couple of weeks ago. He said his number 1 pillar, if you will. That's when you mute the microphone, by the way.
I know, I was late.
That's, yeah. Timing and vision. He said timing is one of the most important things about hitting, right? Timing, vision. You always talk about it too. You have to have great vision. Your dad talked about it. He told me that years ago. You told me that years ago. Hey, you have to have great vision, but your timing, the pitcher's job to get you out, not just to strike you out, it's to mess up your timing. That's the number 1 thing. And that's That's my first pillar: timing and vision.
Yeah, and you said it. A hitter's job, is to find timing, and a pitcher's job is to upset timing,
Mhm.
and that's the game. So if your timing is perfect, your swing plane doesn't have to be. If you always hit the ball in the same area, you don't miss your pitch, and you don't swing at bad pitches, you can be an unbelievable hitter with a swinging straight up or straight down if your timing is perfect. How do we strive for perfection? It's when we start moving. When do we get our foot down? That was always a very common phrase, "Get your foot down on time," but
Ugh,
nobody
the
really knew what
worst.
on time was. What's that?
It's the worst, that
Yeah,
phrase, "Get your foot down."
get your foot down
You
on
still
time,
hear
and so
analysts, by the way, say it at the major
all
league
the
level.
time.
Yeah.
And so people, automatically think, "Well, I'm just gonna put my foot down early," like when the pitcher's in his windup, right? Or the pitcher's, hasn't even released the ball yet, where it's not we're not reacting and we're not feeling our way through the swing. We're just putting our foot down arbitrarily, and it doesn't work that way. So, timing starts with when do I start moving? When do I start getting weight into my back foot, my back knee, my back hip, so that I can pick my front foot up and control it without losing my balance. And then being able to drop my foot at the right time when that pitch is in the zone. So, timing starts early, early in the process. And we try to get players. That'll be the first thing I do. We talked about that camp, that we're going to run in Pennsylvania. That's the first thing I'm going to talk about is timing and rhythm and getting players to move and then getting them to move at the right time. And then, working on drills to get those players to do that so they're not static and they can be dynamic with their stride. They can drop their foot quick if they need to get their foot down on an inside fastball, or they can hang it possibly for an extra 2/100ths of a second if it's a slider, or if it's a
Mhm.
changeup or something slower, they can make that adjustment. But if it's always the same, up, down, fast, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and again, we're doing these 4 pillars because we're just forgetting about mechanics for a second, forgetting about what the barrel should do. We're forgetting about bat lag and the torque and the front leg, the back leg, all of that stuff for a second. We think that these are the top 4 pillars that you need to have to be a successful hitter. Timing and vision is number 1. Number 2, swing plane and bat path, and I connected back to what the big mistake that the Braves made in that series in the NLDS against the Phillies. They should have thrown Brandon Marsh up, 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 up. They didn't do that. Threw him a breaking ball. He hit a home run. Stott, same thing with
Mhm.
him, right? But
Stott's a good breaking ball hitter.
a little bit more of a flatter swing plane.
Yeah.
But Brandon Marsh was the number one example of that. His bat path was that of one that could hit a breaking ball or a low pitch if he's not late on the fastball, but especially a breaking ball that sits right up there, center cut, and his barrel runs into it. So swing plane, bat path, having the right swing plane and bat path,
Yeah.
having both on time, needing what you need, doing what you need to do. That's also very important. That's number 2.
Yeah. I was just watching the game in the corner of my eye, and there was a high fastball thrown to someone that didn't try to hit it out of the park. It was kind of up and middle away, and he hit
Who
it
was it for
deep.
context purposes? Who was it?
Pena.
Yeah, he's a good hitter.
Um, and he got beat a little bit on a high fastball that was up and away, and he hit a double kind of down the right field line. Wasn't totally smoked, but he didn't pop it up. What do most people do, right? They pop up a pitch that's up, or they swing under it completely, which is what we saw in a lot of the series. So, bat path is important, and that's where mechanics do come from, right? Mechanics help with your bat path. Where are your hands? Where are your elbows? How do your shoulders work? Yada yada yada. So, bat path helps your timing. A lot of people say, I'll say, Johnny, what's the biggest problem you have? Well, I seem to have timing issues. My coach is always telling, I have whatever, my timing's bad. So I'll say, okay, what do they say? Are you usually late or are you usually early? And they'll say, well, I'm always early. And so I'll say, okay, well, what probably is happening is you're coming off of the pitch plane, right? They're swinging up. I gave a lesson today where the kid was hitting the ball really well to right field, a right-handed hitter, really well to right field, and then just topping ground balls up the middle and to the left side, like a ton of topspin. And he was entering the zone okay, and then he was just coming off. He was just finishing too high and swinging up too much. We fixed it, and he was great. So what a lot of times you can do is fix your swing plane, and magically your timing gets better because now those pitches that are out in front that you're trying to hit at your front foot or your front toes, your barrel is still there. Your barrel is still on plane out in front, and now all of a sudden they're not early all the time, and the coach isn't saying, "Oh, you got timing issues." So, yes, timing is great, but a swing plane can help your timing for sure by adding 4 to 6 inches out in front with proper extension and a proper follow through instead of trying to lift too much out in front. Your timing will get better because now all of a sudden, if you're early 2 or 3 inches, it's a hit instead of a topper or a foul ball.
Yeah. So timing, vision, swing plane, bat path, making adjustments, pitcher against the pitcher trying to get you out, and confidence. I point to a guy by the name of Bryce Harper. Okay.
Mhm.
He is doing all of these things. Everything pretty much is on point. Timing, vision. He's got great vision, but his timing
Yeah.
has been almost perfect in the postseason. Swing plane, almost perfect in the postseason. Making adjustments and confidence. He's got all four of them right now. And I've said that the only is everything mechanically is on point where it needs to be during this postseason run. The only time he's really been getting out is the making adjustments part. And not so much the pitcher messing up his timing, but the pitcher getting him out. That's part of the game. It
Yeah.
happens to the best hitters of all time. It happens to everybody, even when they're going really, really well. That's number three, making adjustments, being able to do that as a hitter on the fly in the box against a pitcher trying to get you out. And again, it goes back to, as we've talked about on previous episodes, having a real approach.
It's funny you say that, Jim, because as I was watching this game earlier,
Mhm. You didn't laugh though when I said it, so it really wasn't that funny when I said it.
that was good. So Bryce
I get
Harper,
the horrible humor from my sense of humor from my father, by the way. So blame
his
him.
first at bat, yeah, he is right. I mean, he's hot.
Oh yeah,
And he's hitting the ball to left field. He's in the ball to right field. He's hitting the ball low. He's in the ball high. He's in the ball
and
far.
everything mechanically is almost perfect too.
Yeah,
But
he's
what
just he,
really it points back. Sorry to cut you off, but really it points back to what is getting him out. It's not so. It's the pitcher being able to think one step
correct.
ahead and get him out. Right.
Well, and so he got out his first at bat of the World Series with Verlander, who's pretty good. And what is Verlander's bread and butter? Right, a high spin rate, four seam fastball right above the belt, and he threw three of those to Harper that Harper couldn't lay off. If they were 3 inches lower at his belt, Harper would destroy it. But he got him like right at the belly button, right above the belly button, where it looked so good that he couldn't take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't catch up to it either. He couldn't stay on top of that pitch. So it'll be interesting to see what adjustment does he make. Does he all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm going to look down. I'm going to anything that comes. I'm just going to kind of stare down. I'm going to lower my helmet. I'm going to lower my eyes. I'm going to look for something at my knees, and I'm not going to swing at anything, just so that he doesn't get tempted with that really high pitch. Because I just lost the pitcher. What's the pitcher's name? Astros.
Verlander.
Verlander. Verlander doesn't make as many mistakes as most people. So Verlander could probably keep spotting 94 and 95 right there. So he's going to have to make an adjustment to either really try to stay on top or to take it out completely. So we'll see what adjustment he makes.
Yeah.
Adjustment's the name of the game. I mean, the fact when the Yankees mentioned, "Oh, we're going to stick with what we're doing. We're going to stick with what got us here," and they didn't make an adjustment after struggling the entire postseason. That was a little hard-headed, I thought, unless they were just trying to set up the Astros into doing the same thing, and then that's some good gamesmanship. Because I will say the Yankees did come out early and started to swing at the first pitch, so could have been gamesmanship, but if it wasn't gamesmanship and they were saying, "Well, we're not going to change our approach. This is what we've done all year," I think that's a little hard headed.
Yeah. And number four, this one's is arguably the most important one, but it's also the hardest one to grasp because game of failure, ups and downs, blah, 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 blah. Confidence, gaining that
Hmm.
confidence. And I think a big thing about confidence, and you can tell when a hitter doesn't have one when you watch the playoffs on TV, watch a regular season game, and a guy's really struggling. Like, for example, in Altuve right now, I did see, by the way, his first at bat and saw him struck out.
Hmm.
Watched him throughout the ALCS, throughout the postseason. He is very jumpy. And you can tell when a guy is very jumpy. You can tell when a guy is swinging and missing or he's fouling pitches off. It's a strong swing. It's a calm swing. It's a different type swing than when you're actually struggling. And that's when you can really tell a guy just doesn't have that confidence right now. He's jumpy and the swing is just a little bit off and different as compared to when he's hot.
And he's pressing, right? And the
Right.
confidence isn't there because he's trying too much. I guess the one thing I like about Altuve, I guess everybody's different, but he's tried, he's true to himself in that he needs to be aggressive. And a lot of times when players go into struggles or they go into slumps, it's because they're taking a lot of pitches and they're passive and they're looking for that perfect pitch, and then they might get that perfect pitch and then they'll foul it off. And what I'm seeing with Altuve is if it's close, like he's going to put a swing on it, and he's not going to get deep in the count. And I think sometimes for some players that are free swingers like that, it's important for them to keep swinging, and all of a sudden they'll find some barrels. And will he do that? I'm not sure if he's ready for that yet. But I will say he looks very different without his beard. Looks very different. They
He
showed him up
does.
close. I didn't even recognize him.
Hmm. I didn't even know he had
That's
a
all
beard.
everyone that listens to everyone from the lab, is an Astros fan because College Station's only 90 minutes from Houston.
Yeah.
So that place is going crazy right now. They
I
love their Astros, let me tell you.
trying to think of the beard. I did not.
It's not a big beard, but he shaved tonight. Like when you go
Not
back
like a
and watch the
marsh
game.
beard, right? It's not like a marsh
No,
beard.
no, no, no. It's
Yeah.
just it's a tight black, you know, dark beard,
Right.
but like he's totally clean shaven.
Yeah.
And so it just looks funny. It's got, like you never really see his face.
Hmm.
So he looks like a different person.
I can't think of him with a beard. I'm sorry. I always thought that just looked like his normal face. Whatever.
Yeah, no, he's got like, well, for you, what, Jim, you're Italian, so
He's not
it's
Italian.
probably like like an afternoon shadow for you, but it's like 4 days for everyone else.
All right. I don't think so. I'm proud of my facial hair. The
I got
women
a buddy
love the
here
facial. My women,
he's like a
my
little
women,
hairy
the
dude.
women, excuse me, the women love the facial. I said my women, excuse me. The women love the facial hair. I look stupid
Naturally.
without when I'm barefaced. Like when I
Yeah.
completely shave. Oh, I look awful.
Yeah, me too.
No comment.
All the time.
Are you gonna shave for your Westchester event completely?
The one in Westchester?
The one. That's right. The one in Westchester.
Yes. No.
But you better be careful making fun of Westchester. We're gonna get listeners emailing us like that guy who, when I made fun of his Shawnee thing, and he just constantly wouldn't stop emailing. That's gonna be like these people from Westchester are gonna be offended because you
That's
don't
right.
say
I
their
better
name right.
say it right.
Westchester is beautiful.
These guys
by
are
the
the
way.
best. I don't have to worry about that.
I have a cousin who lives there in Westchester.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I'd never been out there. Was that
my
Valley
cousin?
Forge?
My cousin
Nice.
went to the great Westchester University as well. Great football team, great baseball program.
Where were you? Where'd you grow up?
I don't know.
Was it what part? Like west of
Jersey.
Philly, though? Yeah,
New
east of
Jersey.
Philly's like New Jersey, right?
Yeah, West Philly, born and raised on the playground. That's the most.
That's right.
I saw an article this week that was the most catchy. That was the catchiest rap song of the '90s. If you can
Everybody
believe that.
knows that.
I also saw an article this week. I don't know if you know this. An Amazon driver recently was killed by a dog attack.
Oh,
yes,
that was the most random comment ever.
I was reading through news stories yesterday, just kind of whatever.
Oh,
I don't know. It was yesterday evening. All right, I'm watching the Bucks struggle again. They're really putting a bad name to Tampa Bay.
yeah.
So I'm watching the Bucks struggle, and I'm just on my computer, just looking through stories, and I saw that story about the Westchester born or West born and raised, whatever the fuck. That was the number one rap song in the '90s. People remembering and the song getting stuck in their head. That was the first story, and then I read the story about the Amazon driver who was mauled by a dog.
Yeah.
So bad.
Puts it down.
Yeah. By the way, for those who don't know, I had a run sheet kind of, but I didn't really refer to it tonight or today. So that's why we're like, going a little more off the cuff, and we're branching off into different avenues.
Yeah, and I guess the
And
topic
Ep's watching the game as we.
Don't worry, I'll get us back on track, Jim. The topic we were talking about was confidence.
Yes.
And how
I
do
thought
we
you were
get
done with that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How do we run? How do we run with confidence? How do we get confidence?
Yeah.
Do we just always have confidence? Do we have self-talk? Do we feel good about ourselves when we get out of bed? Do we feel good when we get in the batter's box? Or do we have doubts? Oh, I hope I don't do this. I hope I don't do that. Geez, that pitcher's throwing really hard. Well, this team looks pretty good. Oh, the batter's box has a hole in it. We come up with all these excuses, except I'm going to get in the box. I'm going to own it. This is my time to shine. This is my time to show all these people at this game, whether there's 12 people or 12,000 people at this game. I'm going to show them how good I am. And so can you talk yourself into being confident? Yes, I feel good. I feel strong today. I ate well. I got a lot of energy. I got sleep. Now I'm going to get in the box. I'm prepared, and I'm gonna find a barrel here. Or do I have doubts? Or do I need to get 3 or 4 hits first in order to get that confidence?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the easy way to get confidence. Oh, I just went 2 for 4 with a home run and a double. I feel pretty good. But what happens when we don't go 2 for 4 the next day?
What
How do
about
we
so what
still
about
have that confidence? How do we still feel good about ourselves?
what about confidence as it's tied to your approach? Especially, trying to gain that confidence when you're struggling, and then trying to come up with a real approach that may work and kick you out of that slump.
Yeah, and maybe know what you're looking for.
Right.
What pitch do I hit well? What do I feel well with, or feel good with? Breaking balls. I feel like I'm a little bit late. I've been late recently. I'm gonna have a plan. This guy's a breaking ball pitcher. This is perfect. I'll be able to slow it down. I'm just gonna sit on breaking pitches. Because I know I'm gonna see 2 or 3 every at bat. And sometimes you're right. You'll have confidence just in your approach, knowing who you're facing. And then
Right.
that confidence going into the game, boom, you get a curveball, your second or third pitch, you hit a line drive somewhere, and now all of a sudden you have the confidence of execution, which is the greatest feeling in the world, because then you
Yeah.
feel like not only is my mind in it, but my swing is as well.
Yeah. Did we miss anything on the 4 pillars of hitting this week, episode 119?
I mean, I could find another pillar if you wanted to.
No, there's only 4. Only 4
There's only
slots.
4.
Yeah. My 4
We got
slots.
him. Yeah, and having a plan. Did we talk about having a plan?
Well, it's
The pitcher, right? Like the pitcher
making
trying to get
adjustments. I kind of tied that to
making
making
adjustments. Yeah.
adjustments, right?
Yeah, making adjustments, right. We talked about that with Bryce Harper. Okay, maybe my plan was I'm going to look breaking balls. Well, he got 3 or 4 fastballs that blew him away his first at bat. Okay, maybe I won't look for breaking balls today. I better find a way to get on top of that fastball. So
Yeah.
making adjustments huge.
All right, next week, thanks for joining us today, everybody. Next week, episode 120, Mechanical Breakdown Series, volume. What volume is it?
I know it's episode 120. That's all I know.
Okay, I don't remember the volume, but it's a gold edition. It's Mike Piazza. We're breaking down the swing of Big Mike next week. Mike Piazza, not to be confused with the great other Big Mike, Mike Epstein.
Big Mike.
Mike Piazza next week. We should break down your dad's swing one time. Mike Piazza next week.
There's only like video of 2 swings.
Oh,
They didn't have a lot of video back then.
Mike Piazza next week, episode 120. Any promotion that you need to get in before we get on out of here?
Promotion? Oh, self-promotion.
Westchester. One more time. Let everybody know.
Westchester. You better join the Dragons if you want to take part in that bad boy, though.
Mm-hmm.
They got the market cornered on it.
What are you going to be doing now? Are you going to be doing drills? Or are you going to be? What are you going to be
3
doing?
days? Yeah, no, it's like a coach. Like I said, coach training.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go 3 hours on Friday night of coach training. Then we're going to train players like all day Saturday, and then we're going to finish Sunday with more coaching,
All right.
more coaches. How to run practices, how to analyze video, how to isolate. What players really need. Does this player need to do this drill? Not really. Okay, so you put your players into buckets. These players need to work on lower body. These players need to work on barrel control. These players need to work on timing, right? And then you don't waste time on things that they don't need in the off season. So there'll be a lot of that, and then working with the players, creating plans for them for the winter. Yeah, that's the gist of that. But like always, I like to plug the online academy. I got some new players in there the last week or two, and again, it's so awesome to see in a week, because I always have them. They submit a video, their first video, and I say, okay, this is where we need to work on first, and then I'll give them 4 or 5 drills to work on, and then I say, look, in like 3 or 4 days, send me you doing those drills. And sure enough, like 3 or 4 days later, they're doing the drills, and they're doing the drills great. And it's like, I love to see progress like that. So
Sure.
if you need a hitting coach and you don't have one next door, I'm everywhere.
What's
not
the
a
online
plug.
online
Not-
academy website?
EpsteinOnlineAcademy.com, or just go to Epstein Hitting. It's easy.
All right. Well, we've hit the 40-minute mark, and I think it's time to get on out of here. Again, happy Halloween, everybody. Ep did not dress up. A little disappointed about that.
It's not Halloween yet. I'll dress up on Monday
All right.
as a
Okay.
hitting coach.
We will talk to everybody. Episode 120 next.